From the studios of Staten Island Community Television, you're watching In the Bleachers, the TV show for the world's most passionate sports fans. Hello, everyone. I'm Jaime Hixson, joined by my dear friend on the phone.
The hardest, baddest, sexiest man on cable access TV. Yours truly, Hector Bosa. Please announce me that way next time. Sir, did you forget?
No, I didn't forget. I just didn't want to.
You must have forgotten because every time you forget, you're going to get penalized by the National Football League for $14,000 for forgetting. Same way.
Hector, I think we might have a little bit of a problem with your phone. Are you calling from your iPhone or a landline?
Oh, you're not able to hear me?
It's going in and out.
Oh, you're fading in and out. Hold on.
Well, while he's fixing the problem, we're going to let you know that, yes, we had NFL football yesterday. The Giants had the weekend off. They're going to go into next weekend with a very, very tough matchup. And the Jets went back to normal. Nice to see that things don't change around this town. Unfortunately, the Jets wound up having their heads handed to them by the Bills.
How did the Jets go back to normal?
What's that? Hector, I think it might be your phone, man. It keeps on going in and out.
Let me see. Hold on, because normally, let me see.
You sounded loud and clear just moments ago, but now it's cutting in and out.
Oh, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I was saying that I went to physical therapy today, and I had two beautiful women working on me.
Oh, will you stop?
Oh, it was fantastic. And then I was saying to them, I'm on a show called In the Bleachers with Jaime Hixson, and if I tell him, he'd be so jealous. He'd be very jealous. He's going to say, "Can you stop? Why do you always do that?" So and then all of a sudden, they start laughing at my joke, even though I told them it's not a joke, it's the truth, that you would do something like that.
For the last time, I am not jealous of you.
I don't.
Your phone's cutting in and out again. Maybe this time it's not such a bad idea because all he's been doing is lying on the program.
I am not lying. I did go to physical therapy.
Why do you always do this? Why are you always lying?
Working on me, and that's it.
Why are you always lying?
I did not go to physical therapy, and two women didn't work on me. Of course they did. That's why. I'm jealous because women love to work on me, and they love to touch me and everything. But, as for the Jets, we try to dub them America's team because of Mike White. And he threw 4 interceptions. Explain what happened to the Jets.
Well, unfortunately, we're having major problems with Hector's phone. Hector, I think you might have to call from a landline, man.
Let me call you back.
All right, this time, call from a landline. All right. While he's hanging up and calling back, I'm here to say that not only are the Jets not America's team, I can guarantee you that there are 90% of NFL fans who can't even figure out who's on the Jet roster aside from Mike White. That's number one. Number two, the Jets are working with a lot of young players. They have quite a few rookies on the roster. So if you want to look at one of the reasons why they carry a 2-7 record going into next week's game, there's your answer right there. Speaking of next week, the Jets have the Dolphins. Not sure if the game's going to be at MetLife or if it's going to be in South Florida. So let me just check. Here we are. And for the record, the Jets are hosting the Dolphins next Sunday. And speaking of the Dolphins, they came away with quite a victory last night, or yesterday, I should say. The Dolphins wound up upsetting the Ravens by 12 points.
They did.
Here we are. Now we got you, Hector.
I'm glad that who upset who?
What's that?
Who was upset?
Baltimore was upset by Miami.
Just like you were upset at the fact that two beautiful women were working on
I'm upset at the fact that you keep on lying about these women.
I was not. What? I went to physical therapy and I had two beautiful women work on me. What's the big deal?
The big deal is you're lying.
I am not lying.
There is no woman with 1/4 of a brain who would even try to put their hands on you.
So are
You're
you
so
saying
repulsive.
Are you saying to me that there's no women physical therapists?
I'm saying you're lying about these women touching you.
They have to work on me, don't they?
You don't stop, do you?
They said that I smell good, and then they see me on the radio.
Stop.
And they know that if I told
Hector.
you that Jamie would go.
The show is over.
What show? It's the truth.
It was a freaking show. It was a freaking sideshow that you were doing, man.
I know. I went to the physical therapist. That's all. That's the truth. But,
whether you went to a physical therapist is not the issue. The issue is that you're lying again.
You mean there's no physical therapist that work, no female physical therapist that work there?
No, I mean there were no beautiful women that were willing to touch you.
You're saying there was an all-male thing and no female. You're a sexist.
No, you're the one who's a sexist.
Because I can't believe that you're saying that no female physical therapist can work on a guy.
I'm saying no female would want to work on you.
Oh, of course they do.
No.
Why, they would work on you too, wouldn't they, if you went to a physical therapist?
That's not the issue.
Oh, now that's not the issue. Listen to that.
That was never the issue. The issue is you're lying again. You make a really good politician because you and politicians have one thing in common. You lie about the stuff that you talk about.
The same way you're upset.
I'm not upset.
This, then why
I'm just calling you out.
Why were the Raiders upset with the Miami Dolphins?
Easy, because the Dolphins played the best defense in this game.
So that's why they were upset. Okay. And going back to the Jets, we thought we had America's team. We thought we had Mike Hand coming in. What happened?
Wait, what was that?
We thought we had Mike White.
Well, Buffalo wound up solving the issue of Mike White really quickly. They were just fantastic defensively. So much that they wound up getting 4 takeaways in this game. Mike White threw 4 interceptions. Actually, it's 5 takeaways, including 4 interceptions thrown by White.
Well, at least you can say that he had Prescott as a tutor for him, because he said the last time when he won, he said he learned a lot from Prescott.
Yeah.
So and they had this big football controversy of who do you start, right? Or the I got his name already because he's been out so long. Now, who do you start again?
Well, it depends on Zach Wilson's health. If he can make it out of this 100%, maybe he should be the starter. Because when you think about it, the Jets invested a lot in Zach Wilson, and I'm not really sure if trading away your second overall pick in this past April's draft for draft picks and or other compensation is really the way to go.
You've heard the controversy. Zach Prescott is not coming. He's not playing next week, is he? That you know of? He's not starting. If Mike White has a damn good game again, if he has a good game but they lose, you may still see him because that's where because they've been talking about this, the controversy, the football controversy. Who do you start? Do you start Dak Prescott or do you start Mike White if he wins again? Let's say he wins next week and Dak Prescott doesn't come back. Do you still start him again?
Zach Wilson.
Or do you go? Zach Wilson. I'm sorry. I'm saying Zach Prescott. I apologize. Zach Wilson. So, let's.
I said, it depends on Wilson's health. It depends on his good health. If he's 100%, then maybe the Jets should go back to Wilson.
But you did say you go with the hot hand.
Yeah, well, he hasn't been so hot for 2 games now. And
but he won the first game, and this game, the second game, he's lost.
The second game, the Jets wound up getting blown out. It was a lot worse than 45-30. Trust me.
But Mike White wasn't playing.
That's because he wound up getting hurt.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. This game, that Mike White, do you start Mike White or do you start Zach Wilson if he's available?
If he's healthy, I would say go back to Zach Wilson. But if he's not, it has to be Mike White.
Now, you start Mike White. Let's say you start Mike White, and he starts doing it again. He gets the 400 yards. He does what he's supposed to do. Then what?
Then keep going with White.
Then how is Zach Wilson supposed to do anything? And how is Zach Wilson supposed to learn if you're going to start Mike White?
He can learn quite a bit because there's another backup quarterback named Joe Flacco who can teach him a lot about how to read defenses or how to throw in the pocket when there's pressure coming up against him. Joe Flacco can really learn a lot from or really teach a lot to Zach Wilson.
But that's what I've said in the past, because normally you would normally start, let's say, a Joe Flacco as your starting quarterback and let the guy sit out for a year so that you're starting, the older quarterback can tutor you. Now, all of a sudden, the new quarterbacks that are coming up because of the 3-year contracts that they only have, you have to start them. And since he got hurt already, that's why I'm saying, how do you start someone that's going to lose you games?
Easy.
Well, you
have to take this game by game.
Learn. He's got to learn. He's got to go out there and learn because he knows the book already.
Really like the idea of getting Amazon. 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 Really like the
He's just got to learn how to play it now. He's got to start learning how to execute. And they just lost another guy, too.
Yeah.
They lost another guy, and that was it. So by saying that, but so who do you think they're going to start next week?
My guess is it's going to be Mike White again.
And if he's got a good game?
If he has a good game, I would give him one more chance to try and prove himself. And when you think about it, this Sunday coming up is going to be a really interesting test for him because the Jets are going to play the Dolphins. And the Dolphins have been a major disappointment, just like the Jets have this season. So it'll be interesting to see whether White could take advantage of a weak team that's on the schedule and attack that defense.
Well, that's the thing. Well, then aren't you starting a football controversy then? That if you're starting Mike White and Zach Wilson is ready the week after, let's say Mike White wins.
It's funny that you mentioned the word quarterback controversy because I was listening to the postgame show for the Jet game, and Marty...
That's all we're talking about this week.
Yeah. The thing is, Marty Lyons of the Jets, one half of the Jets broadcast team on the radio, he said he doesn't like the word controversy to describe what's going on between Mike White and Zach Wilson. Because when you think about it, Zach Wilson is much younger than Mike White. Mike White is about 26 or 27 years old. Zach Wilson's only 21. And if you put 2 and 2 together, all signs point to the Jets leaning on Zach Wilson to be the quarterback of the future. And after what Mike White has done, winning 2 games already, actually 1 game, he's lost the last 2. If, let's say, he becomes a 500 quarterback, and I just heard my phone go off. The Islanders just scored against Tampa.
Go!
Yep. Anyway, the Jets' future is with Zach Wilson. Mike White, if he impresses, then the Jets are playing with house money because they might welcome a whole bunch of deals or potential trades for this young man. Simply because of the fact that Zach Wilson is the future of the Jets. And I would hate for them to do a panic move and trade away Zach Wilson instead of Mike White, all because of one game that he had against Cincinnati.
You're not going to trade him away. That's a fact. You're not trading him away because that's number 2 quarterback.
Well, the Jets do have Joe Flacco behind both of those guys.
Joe Flacco as your 3rd-string quarterback. Mm-hmm. Okay, fine. But you're not going to trade your number 2 guy. You're not going to trade your number 2.
Oh, you'd be surprised what's going to happen next.
No.
This coming off season.
You're not going to trade the guy that you picked at number 2 or number 3, Zach Wilson. You're not going to get rid of him. He's supposed to be the quarterback of the future.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what you have here is what I've been saying all along, which is, somebody's got to start, somebody's got to play. Somebody's got to start, somebody's got to sit.
Yeah.
And if you're on a rebuilding team, no matter what that quarterback does, if you're on a rebuilding team, you have to bring in the guy that you brought in to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to win games, and let's say the other guy wins games for you, you wouldn't get rid of the other guy. And why? Because if the guy gets hurt again, then you have a damn good quarterback behind him.
Right.
That can teach him a bit because of who he learned from.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you said with Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco could be another guy that if they keep him as a third string, he also could learn from them.
Okay.
Let's say no matter what Mike White does, just on the rebuilding stage, you start him no matter what. Now, it's the fans that are going to say, well, why aren't you starting him? Because if Mike White's winning, and when you bring in Zach Wilson and he starts to lose, the Jet fans, they want to win. They don't want to. Do you understand where I'm going with? They rather win instead of just go, let the guy. Some will say, let the guy just play it out, let him get, and then next year see what happens. Where do you stand?
I hate to tell you this, Hector, but...
Huh?
Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say, where do you stand? Do you stand in letting him come back and letting him take his lumps for next year? Or because since you're on the rebuilding stage, or do you want to win and keep the hot hand?
For the rest of this season?
Let's say, yeah.
It all depends on Mike White's play. Let's see what he does against Miami.
If he does well. Go by the assumption that he does well enough. Because remember, you're on a rebuilding. You're on a rebuilding team, and you want this guy to get, experience. And two, the guy's got a 3-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like before where you can sign him for 3 or 4 years, no, but for 4 or 5 years, and then keep him for at least 2. That way he can sit down with a veteran quarterback. That way the quarterback could teach him, unless he's an exceptional quarterback, which, as we talked about last week, they haven't had, there aren't that many exceptional quarterbacks out there in the league.
Right now, not... It's pretty much 50-50 as far as how many great quarterbacks there are and how many flashes in the pan there are.
From this crop of quarterbacks this year, from this year's pick, or should I say from last year's pick,
mm-hmm.
Those people haven't done, there hasn't been the people that you mentioned last week as, wow, they really came out and did something their first year. They showed that, this guy's a great quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's going to do wonders for you.
Right.
What has Zach Wilson done to show you so far that he's going to be a good quarterback?
Well, so far, all he's shown is that he turns the ball over.
Okay. So this is why everybody's talking about controversy. Because do you want to win? If he decides, like I said, if he wins next Sunday and the Sunday after, the fans are going to want to win. Some fans want to tank it so they can get another number 1 draft pick. And some people want to win. So this is why, what do you go by? I'd rather go with let the kid have experience and then keep Mike White because at least you know that if he gets hurt next year, because if you're signing, let's say Mike White for more than 2 years, let's say you sign him you have him for 4 years, you keep him.
Mm-hmm.
You keep him, unless someone else wants him, and if you get a good deal out of it, fine, you go get a good deal. But you better make sure that Mike White Zach Wilson is going to give you a damn. He better flourish this year, give you some type of hope, and next year too.
Right.
Even if it's on a losing side. Let's say he gives you 300 something or 400 per game, and he still loses. Okay, fine. At least he gives you 400 yards. He's got to show some improvement.
Right.
But speaking of improvement, the mighty Giants. Oh, go continue the list of Miami and Oakland.
You mean as far as who's on the Jets' schedule?
Yes, because you wasn't talking about that. You were talking about who won and who lost. So go ahead, continue. Continue that list.
Let's see. Coming up for the Jets, they have the Dolphins next Sunday. Then there's the Houston Texans. And that should be a game that the Jets should win because the Texans are probably the worst team in the AFC right now. But then the schedule gets a little bit tougher. They have to host the Eagles. They have to host the Saints. They have a second meeting with Miami. This one is at Hard Rock Stadium. They have to host the Jaguars. Another game that they should win. They have the Buccaneers at home, the defending champions, a team that Tom Brady has just owned in his career. And then the season ends January 9th in Buffalo. So when you think about it, the Jets probably should get another 3 wins out of this.
Well, how many wins do they win?
Well, I predicted the Jets would get 13, not 13. I predicted the Jets would get 3 wins this year against 14 losses.
Right.
And you mentioned the Giants before. The Giants had the weekend off, which probably is not a good thing because after beating the Raiders last week, all of their momentum was kind of sidetracked a little bit. But let's see what the Jets can do for an encore.
And you think who will they start?
What's that?
And who will they start?
Who will the Giants start at quarterback?
Who will the Jets start?
Who will the Jets start at quarterback? My guess is it's going to be Mike White again. I think they're going to give him one more chance until they decide if Zach Wilson is healthy enough. Then they might go back to Zach Wilson.
Even though if he win or lose, you go with Zach Wilson. Okay, I have it.
Mm-hmm.
Now who won in the league this week? You were talking about Miami winning.
Yep, Miami got that big win against Baltimore yesterday.
All right. Who else?
Let's see. Well, Washington pulled off an upset of their own when they won at home against Tampa by 10. Then there were the major duds of yesterday. Cowboys beating the Falcons by 40. The Patriots winning over the Browns by 38.
The Patriots beat the Browns by 38 points?
Yep.
Good God, what happened there?
Nothing, just the fact that Mac Jones, who's their rookie quarterback, threw for 3 touchdowns yesterday. Let's see. Here's the other dud. Panthers over the Cardinals by 24 points. And Cam Newton signed or re-signed with the Panthers once again. He was named the starting quarterback, and what happens? The Panthers put up 34 points against the Cardinals, a team that came into this game playing some really good defense.
So he came out of retirement.
Actually, he wasn't even retired. He was hoping somebody would ring his phone so he could get back on the field.
No, he was retired. He said he retired, and then someone called him, and now he came back.
I didn't hear anything like that.
That's what I read in the newspaper. But the funny thing is, if Cam Newton's out there, you mean to tell me that the Jets shouldn't have called? There was no way for the Jets to call him?
They probably couldn't afford him anyway. It was probably a salary cap issue that they couldn't afford him. I don't even think the Jets even so much as gave him a phone call.
This year. The Jets were under the salary cap this year. If they really wanted to get him, they could have. But again, what are they trying to do? That's my point with the GM. With the GM of the Giants and the Jets. The Jets were under salary cap. They had a lot of money this year. So I don't know what were they going to do?
They were going to go with their rookie quarterback, their quarterback of the future. Besides, they're 4 deep at quarterback, and I just did not see any more room for the guy. It did quite frankly, roster-wise, it didn't make any sense.
The Jets are 4 deep now?
Yeah, they've been 4 deep. There's Wilson, there's Flacco, there's White, and there's one other guy whose name escapes me.
There's Wilson, there's White, there's Flacco, and there's who?
One other person who, unfortunately, I can't get...
who shall be named nameless.
Yeah, who shall be named nameless.
So, the rest of the people, the rest of the teams, what happened? So, after Cam Newton coming back, he won. And what else happened? Continue, run down the line.
All right. Let's see. The Eagles beat the Broncos by 17. Packers shut out the Seahawks by 17. And then there was the Sunday night game where the Chiefs just manhandled the Raiders by 27. Not to say that there weren't any close games. I mean, there were some pretty close games. The Vikings beat the Chargers by a touchdown. The Colts beat the Jaguars by 6 points. The Titans beat the Saints by a deuce. And then there was the first tie of the year. Lions and Steelers, 16 up.
So what else happened with the Giants?
The Giants had the weekend off.
Huh? No, what happened this week with them?
What happened this week with them? They had the week off.
Okay, but what happened in their division?
Let's see. The Cowboys won, Washington won, and Philly won.
Was that expected?
Pretty well. The Dallas game was pretty much expected, yes, but no one saw Washington beating Tampa. And I think you can credit the Tampa defense. Credit the Washington defense for doing a good job against Tom Brady, intercepting him twice.
And what happened in the other divisions?
Let's see here. NFC North. We already talked about the NFC East. NFC North, Green Bay won, Minnesota won, Chicago lost, and Detroit finished in a tie. NFC South, Tampa wound up losing, New Orleans lost, Carolina lost, and Atlanta got their heads handed to them. NFC West, Arizona
Do you
lost
know
again.
how?
What's that?
Do you know how they got their heads handed to them?
Simple. The offense was just not there. Not only that, but it seemed like Dak Prescott led a touchdown drive every single time he stepped into the field. Checking out the NFC West, Arizona wound up losing their second in a row. The Rams are going to play tonight against the 49ers, so this is a huge game for the Rams. If they win, they can tie Arizona for the division lead. And then Seattle lost, and now they're at the bottom of the division. As far as the standings, Arizona leads the West by half a game over the Rams. Tampa leads the South by a game over New Orleans. Green Bay leads the North by 3.5 games over Minnesota. And Dallas leads the East by 3.5 games over Philly. AFC now. Kansas City won yesterday, so now they lead the West. They got the West lead back by just half a game over the Chargers and the Raiders. Down south, Tennessee is the best team in the division. They lead the South by 3 games over Indy.
Who leads the South?
Who leads the South? Tennessee.
Oh, the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
And what's going on with them that they're leading? Is it that division is that bad, or is it they're just that good?
I think Tennessee's just that good. They're really strong at quarterback. They have a strong running game. Defensively, they're very underrated.
Okay. So continue down the line. Let's see.
And finally, let's see. The next to last division is the North. Baltimore leads by a game and a half over Pittsburgh and by 1 game over Cincinnati. And then there's Cleveland, which brings up the rear, even though they're a 500 team. And finally, we got the East. Buffalo leads the East by only half a game over New England. Then there's Miami and the Jets.
So which one is the toughest division so far going?
Right now, it's the AFC West. 4 teams are separated by 1 game. All 4 teams are separated by 1 game in this division. Which means if Denver wins and Kansas City loses, or better yet, if Kansas City loses, Denver, Las Vegas, and the Los Angeles Chargers win, I think you would have a 4-way tie for the division lead.
And how many times does that happen?
Almost never.
Imagine if all 4 teams actually went into a tie by the end of the season.
Yeah, then they have to go to a tiebreaker.
They would have to go to a 1-game playoff, right? Each team would have to go to a 1-game playoff.
No, they go by tiebreakers.
Oh, because they go by how many people they beat in their own division?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I understand. But so now that we've covered the Jets and the Giants and given the rundown, the Yankees have picked up Luis Rojas, third base coach.
I think it's a good move for them because Rojas has been experienced in not just front office stuff, but also on the field stuff. And I think he could do a good job with the Yankees as the third base coach.
28th person. He's the 28th person to be a Yankee and a Met.
Mm-hmm.
Because there have been so many people that have been Yankees and Met players that,
Yep.
I think that's so far. But, I sent you an article about who they're eyeing. They're eyeing all the top shortstops, the top first baseman. They're going after the Astros, first baseman. They're going after the shortstops.
I also
They
hear
they even going to Cincinnati for pitching.
I've also heard that the Yankees are sending their people to talk to Freddie Freeman's agents. Freddie Freeman is the guy who won a championship with the Braves recently. If they can get Freddie Freeman, that would be such a coup for them, because Freddie Freeman is one of the best hitting first basemen in the game today, and he's not too shabby of a defensive player either.
Well, are you expecting a really big blockbuster signing?
Nothing will surprise me. Let's put it that way.
Are you expecting them to sign at least one of the shortstops, the top 5 shortstops, or who do you think that they'll be able to get?
Who can they get to be their shortstop?
Who do you think they'll be getting with because they have so many rumors out there that they're going to go after Freddie Freeman, they're going to go after the ace first baseman or the shortstop, they're going to go after the Cincinnati pitching staff, 1 or 2 pitchers from there. So who do you think it's inked?
Well, there was some buzz regarding let's see. There was some buzz regarding Brian Reynolds of the Pirates, which was the article that you sent me not too long ago. As far as who else they can get as a shortstop,
because there's 5 main shortstops that they asking for. There are 5. There are 5.
Let's see.
So I'm asking, which ones do you think that they'll actually get? Do you think they'll get the guy from the first baseman, even though he wants to stay with Atlanta Braves?
Well, I'm reading that Trevor Story, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Javier Baez, and Marcus Semien are the guys that are the top 5 shortstops that are out there right now. The Yankees were looking at Trevor Story, but for some reason they seem to be sour on the guy. Let me tell you, Trevor Story is no slouch. He is a good shortstop, a good hitting shortstop. The question is, can he keep up his average away from Coors Field? Because as you know, Coors Field is a hitting bandbox.
Well, all I can tell you at this point is, who do you think they'll get? Who do you think gets signed? Who do you think that they'll actually get? Out of all of them, out of all the guys that you mentioned, do you think they'll get 2 out of the 3? Which pitchers do you think they'll get as well? Because I read an article that they were talking to Cincinnati, and the Oakland A's are willing to give up their veteran pitchers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, who do you get?
At this rate, they could get anybody. I don't really have a name.
Who would you want? Who would you want? Because they're saying that the salary cap, they're willing to perhaps go over the luxury.
You mean the luxury tax? They don't have a salary cap in baseball.
Right.
Well, aside from those 5 shortstops that I mentioned, that's anyone's guess.
Which one would you want?
Which shortstop would I like to see on the Yankees?
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Story is the best all-around shortstop. But the guy that had the best season is probably Marcus Semien. So I would go with either one of those 2.
Okay, I found something on Zach Wilson. They said that he will miss time because of his knee. But, it's going to be fun because the, that on December 1st, they're going to start the Major League Baseball contract.
You mean the winter meetings or the GM's meetings?
Yeah, but also the baseball contract is up as well.
Oh,
they're talking
the
about
CBA,
that there may
right?
be a strike this year.
Are you talking about the CBA?
Huh?
Are you talking about the CBA?
Yeah, they're talking about there may be a strike this year with baseball.
Oh, brother.
They're talking about there may be a strike this year, and December 1st is the deadline. So, what can they talk about this year?
Money.
Well, besides money, I mean, they have to. Besides money, they do talk about other things, such as how to speed up the game. Is it this year or next year? Will they test that the National League will be a year of the DH again? Will they test that this year or next year again?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I mean, these contracts are tough. The 5 and 10. If you've been in there 5 years, the amount of money. There's a lot of things that they talk about just besides money, because when they talk about money, they have to renew with TV stations and how much money they get from them, and then they want certain people.
Mm-hmm.
And I would assume that they would talk about older players. How do you treat older players? And how do they get, money that guys that are out, down and out, and all them other people, like football tried to do with their older players that are in nursing homes, let's say, or something. I think they should do that. But I don't know. I don't know. And in the article, it says that that I sent you, that they're still not going to have. They're still trying for a GM. And the second woman that was in Boston, she declined.
Well,
and they're looking for Stern. Some guy named Stern.
Yeah, David Stearns, who's with Milwaukee right now.
Right. And they're waiting.
There is one guy out there who might be available.
Who's that?
Billy Epler, who used to be with the Angels.
Mets offer ex-Angels GM Billy Epler their GM position.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, will he accept it? Because, again, I've heard on the radio stations and so on, they talked about the same thing we've talked about, is why doesn't anybody want to sign with the Mets in these key positions? And they can't even come up with something.
Well, part of it has to do with...
Nobody's really coming up with anything.
Part of it has to do with money, though. Sometimes the Mets can be pretty cheap when it comes to offering contracts. Another reason...
but you got this new guy, and according to what the sources are out there, they're saying that this guy wants to win. He's never been a loser. He's always wanted to win. So I'm pretty sure he's out there with deep pockets. But now, what do you do if you can't get baseball of operations? You can't get a GM. You can't even get players to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And who are they going after? That the Mets, the Mets need players too. Who are they going after that somebody's going to want to play for the Mets?
Well,
you
what
tell
they
me.
should be doing is going after pitching. That's what they should be doing.
Because everybody needs pitching. And like I said, the Oakland A's are dumping players. So it just becomes something of a who wants to play for the New York Mets. And you still have that controversy where why doesn't anybody want to be with the New York Mets in a position? I haven't heard anything from any of the radio stations that can come up with a logical standpoint of why.
Well,
have you?
I've already mentioned one reason. Part of it has to do with money because the Mets have been notorious for penny pinching. Number two, it's the franchise history. I mean, 60 years of Major League Baseball in Queens, and the Mets could do no more than win 2 championships? Not good.
Do you really think this guy's a penny pincher, though, considering he came with a reputation of, I'm going to spend money because now I want to make this baseball team a winning team? You really think this guy's a penny pincher? I know the
Wilpons were notorious penny pinchers.
Oh, yeah, but the new guy that they have now, do you think Cohen, do you really think he's a penny pincher?
From what I can see, not really.
Exactly. So you can't say he's not willing to spend money. So
here's a third reason why nobody wants to play for the Mets. Because there are certain players that might be scared of living in New York City. I mean, it's part of that really doesn't have anything to do with the Mets either. It's having to deal with the big crowds of traffic on the streets.
You know what I found funny? Mm-hmm. Going back to football for a second.
Mm-hmm.
They fined a guy $1,500 because of his shirt.
Yeah.
Not tucking it in or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Aaron Rodgers. They fined him $1,400 because he didn't get his COVID shot.
$1,400 or $14,000?
$14,000, excuse me. You would think that the guy that didn't get his COVID shot would get hit with a bigger fine, and he got less of a fine than the shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, well, I was immunized. So he lied, and then he goes, and now he has COVID. He was playing for a team, and, the team thought that he had his shot. He wouldn't come out and say that he had his shot.
Mm-hmm.
So he should be fined and not be able to play. Or, it all depends where you stand on the vaccine line, but you jeopardize your own teammates because you didn't say, I had my vaccination shot. I did take this shot. Where do you stand with him on that?
Well, I respect every person's right to do what they want with their own body, but this thing is a really serious issue that we're dealing with here.
I respect every person what they want to do with their body.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to harm me with your body, that's a whole different story. It's like you having a cold. Okay, you have a cold. You do what you want, but don't sneeze on me.
Yep.
Yeah, you want to go into work? Fine, don't go near me. But then you have then you have people coming near you even though they have cold. Then you're not respecting my body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Aaron Rodgers did. He didn't respect his own teammates' bodies. He respected his own.
Yeah.
And what we talked about last week, which is how much research does a person need before they decide?
Pages upon pages of research.
And who are their sources?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you say about their education, but again, how long you have to decide? And Aaron Rodgers just hurt his team because now he's got COVID. It's a shame that you find a guy less money than the guy that took the shirt out.
Yep.
Yeah. So you talked about the Yankees, which is New York State mandate.
Right.
You talked about the Mets who can't get no one. The Nets finally winning.
Yeah, including last
They're
night.
They're getting up there. And the Knicks, so far they're on a 2-game losing streak.
Yeah.
Because they can't hold it together at the end.
Let's see what they do tonight. They have the Pacers in town.
Huh?
Let's see what they do tonight because they have the Pacers in town. And the Pacers are no slouch in spite of their record.
Well, that's another team, too. There are times where you play, and let's say the team is bad. Some teams will play to that. Instead of playing the way they should play, they play to the other team's level.
Mm-hmm.
And you have, the Knicks aren't that bad of a team.
They're one game over 500.
They're not bad though because that's a tough division this year. That's a tough division this year, and that's another thing I've always tried to figure out. I mean, since the Patrick Ewing era, after the Patrick Ewing era,
is when things went south.
They've never known how to close a game. Since that time frame, the fourth quarter, no matter who you have on that team, they don't know how to close the damn game.
Well,
the fourth quarter has always been a problem.
Speaking of whom, they're hosting the Pacers now at the Garden. There's 3:14 left in the first quarter, and the Knicks lead 16-15.
Well, talk to me on the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left.
Right, exactly right. So
and
that's
Islanders and Rangers. You said the Islanders scored before.
Yeah, but now they're trailing Tampa 2-1 after 2 periods. Correction, after 1 period.
Rangers are playing too?
No, the Rangers and the Devils have the night off.
Okay, so we got to talk
Rangers won a
then.
really, really great game against the Devils last night that went to a shootout, and the result was just terrific.
And Page won. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Page won the AEW championship, and we
Hector,
talk
we
about
gotta
wrestling
go, man.
next week.
Hector, we
talk
gotta go,
to you
man.
later, Jamie.
All right. Good night, everyone.